Welcome everyone. I'm absolutely thrilled to have you here for this explainer. Today, we're going to completely transform how you think about self-improvement, productivity, and success. We are breaking down the absolute core concepts of James Clear's incredibly popular framework from Atomic Habits into clear, actionable takeaways. So if you're someone who loves efficient, focused learning, you are in exactly the right place. Okay, let's dive right in and fundamentally change the way we approach our daily routines. Now, let's start with a really frustrating question. Why do our biggest goals usually fail? I mean, we've all been there, right? You set this massive, exciting goal for the new year, you're bursting with motivation on January 1st, and yet, by mid-February, that willpower has completely vanished. The running shoes are gathering dust in the closet, and that language app hasn't been open in weeks. Why does this happen so predictably to all of us? Well, it turns out, the problem actually isn't your lack of desire. It's how you've structured the pursuit.
The real answer comes down to goals versus systems. You see, a goal is simply an arbitrary deadline. It's a momentary alteration. You might actually achieve it, but then what happens? A system, on the other hand, is the lasting lifestyle change. It's the continuous, repetitive daily routines that actually get you to the finish line. So if you're having trouble changing your habits, remember this. The problem isn't you. The problem is your system. To get you operating with proper systems, here's our roadmap for today. Number 1. Systems are better than goals. 2. Identity drives true behavior change. 3. Visualizing the habit loop. 4. The 4 laws of habits. 5. Breaking your bad habits. And 6. The messy reality of progress. Let's jump straight into the first point. Section 1. Systems are better than goals and why you fall to the level of your systems. Because, like we just mentioned, you don't lack motivation, you just have the wrong system for change. The overriding theme of this whole framework is the sheer power of 1%. Even one minor change, practiced daily, leads to drastic lifestyle transformations. Getting just 1% better every day might not even be visible at the start, but it acts exactly like compound interest for self-improvement. It literally snowballs. By the end of a single year, that daily 1% compounding makes a monumental, undeniable difference.
This core philosophy is captured perfectly in a famous quote from James Clear himself. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Just think about it for a second. In literally any competition, both the winners and the losers start with the exact same goal, right? Everyone wants to win the gold medal, so the goal doesn't differentiate them at all. The system they follow every single day is what actually sets them apart.
Section 2. Identity drives true behavior change. Who do you want to become? Because if our systems dictate our outcomes, what's actually driving our systems?
Well, there are distinct layers to behavior change. Most people tackle this backward. They start from the outside, from performance and appearance, by saying things like, I want to lose 20 pounds. But true, lasting behavior change happens from the inside out. At the very center of it all is your identity. If you fundamentally believe you are the type of person who never misses a workout, the actions are just naturally going to follow. Every small habit you do is essentially a vote for the type of identity you want to build.
Moving to Section 3. Visualizing the habit loop, or the neurology of daily actions. Let's strip away all the self-help buzzwords and look at the actual biology of how our brains build these routines. Habit formation is a continuous chronological loop. It always starts with a cue or a reminder. Let's say your phone buzzes. That automatically triggers a craving. You instantly want to know what the message says. That craving leads to the response or routine. You grab your phone. And finally, the reward. You satisfy your craving to read it. This loop, cue, craving, response, reward, runs absolutely every single habit in your life, whether it's a good one or a bad one.
Section 4. The 4 laws of habits. This is your practical toolkit for execution. Think of these laws as powerful levers you can pull to make building good habits practically effortless.
But before we list the 4 laws, we have to look at one of the single most powerful tools in this entire framework: habit stacking. This is when you tie a brand new habit to a behavior you already do on autopilot every single day. Instead of desperately trying to find a new dose of willpower to meditate, you just say, after I pour my morning coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute. The coffee serves as an automatic trigger, making the new habit incredibly easy to repeat. It's absolutely brilliant.
All right, let's look at the first 2 of the 4 laws. Law 1 is make it obvious. Listen, your environment matters way more than your motivation. Want to practice guitar? Don't hide it in the closet. Put it right in the middle of your living room. Make that cue visible. Law 2 is make it attractive.
You can use a clever trick called temptation bundling. For example, only allow yourself to watch your favorite Netflix show while you are actively riding the stationary bike. Simply pair what you want to do with what you need to do. Now for the last two laws. Law 3 is make it easy. Humans naturally gravitate toward the path of least resistance, so reduce the friction. Use the 2-minute rule. Downscale any new habit so it takes under 2 minutes. Seriously, just read one single page. Just tie your gym shoes. Finally, Law 4, make it satisfying. Our brains crave immediate rewards to close that habit loop. So if you skip buying alcohol, immediately transfer that exact amount of money into a travel fund so you feel the instant satisfaction of saving. Section 5. Breaking your bad habits by inverting the 4 laws. We've talked a lot about building good habits, but what about dismantling the destructive ones holding us back? The beauty of this framework is that you literally just flip the rules. If the rule for a good habit is make it obvious, the rule for a bad habit is make it invisible. Relying on sheer willpower is a losing game. It's a short-term fix. The absolute best way to break a bad habit is to limit your exposure to the cues that trigger it. If you want to eat less junk food, it shouldn't even be in your pantry. If you need to focus, your phone shouldn't be sitting on your desk. Just make the cue invisible. So let's invert the rest of those laws. To break a bad habit, make it unattractive by shifting your mindset to the awesome benefits of avoiding it. Make it difficult by dramatically increasing the friction. Seriously, put your video game controllers in a box in a completely different room. And finally, make it unsatisfying. You can do this by using an accountability partner or drawing up a habit contract. That makes the cost of slipping up public and genuinely painful, which actively disrupts that negative loop.
Which brings us to Section 6, the messy reality of progress. It's not a perfect upward curve. As much as we love clean, beautifully organized frameworks, we really need to ground ourselves with a reality check about the scientific nuance of behavior change.
I want to bring in a fantastic quote from habit researcher Dr. Gina Cleo. She says, "Real change looks more like a messy scribble than a perfect upward trend." Progress isn't a neat, tidy math equation. That 1% compounding idea, it's a phenomenal motivational metaphor for sure, but the reality involves plateaus, setbacks, and daily fluctuations. If you have a bad day, don't panic. Your system isn't broken. That inconsistency is just totally normal human behavior.
And this actually brings us to a really brilliant insight from community discussions around this framework. Think of your habits as the on-ramp to the highway. When you rely on solid systems instead of white-knuckling it with sheer willpower, you create a built-in safety net against failure. Because let's face it, life gets messy. But even when you're super stressed or on the verge of burnout, having an established system prevents your life from completely falling apart simply because the baseline habits are running on automatic. So, I want to leave you with one final provocative question. What is one tiny habit you can do in the next 2 minutes to prove your new identity? Remember, consistency is its own form of greatness. You absolutely don't need to change your entire life today. Just pick one tiny, atomic action, stack it onto something you already do, and cast a vote for the person you want to become. Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer. Now go pull those levers and start designing your system.